Hey everybody, it's Bill Tree, and I haven't been recording anything for a while. I've got Jeff Wakins here with me from Realty One Group in St. George, and Jeff is this really cool guy who is down there just doing a really great job in St. George. I've interviewed him before. Times have changed. We're going to go through an interview now and just get to the meat and potatoes of what the heck is going on in the market in St. George. So, Jeff, why don't you say hi and give me a little bit about what's going on in St. George right now in terms of homes?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Bill. It's always good to catch up. I know it's been at least a couple months since we've chatted. But yeah, it's quite a bit different than probably the last time we talked. And if you compare a year ago, it's quite a bit different as far as the market goes. So interest rates are a lot higher. The inventory, I think nationwide, but if we're going to talk specifically St. George, and we could even say northern Utah too, inventory has just about quadrupled from where it was. Probably last January, February.
You were like at 300
February,
homes, right? Like 300, 400 homes for sale at one time. How many are on the market right now, more or less?
Yeah, this morning I looked, there were 1658 listed on the Washington County MLS specifically. So
Wow.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And there's a few reasons for that, mostly due to interest rates. I mean, people can't afford what they could before. And I've got a few thoughts and opinions on that, but bottom line is you can't afford what you could a year ago. So it's taken a lot of buyers out of the game and scared a lot of sellers too. So
Wow, that's incredible. And it's just a year. Like I'm thinking a year later, I was watching my house go up $500, $1,000 a day, 30,000 a month. Now it's on a decline, and it doesn't bother me as much because I like the idea personally of high interest rates because I'm retired and I'm just trying to figure out, what are your options, right? And some of it is you got to go back to CDs or some kind of savings, but it still doesn't hedge against inflation. I see Las Vegas is out of control with 13,000 houses listed right now. Really a bad time to sell. But I see St. George, even though you see more houses, are they maintaining their value? Are they on a fire sale? Where is things in terms of being relative to the rest of the US, or at least the Southwest?
Yeah, there's a few different ways to answer that. So without getting to St. George Kool-Aid, because I love St. George, man. I do. I think there's a lot of great things about St. George. Not just the natural beauty and the things to do. I mean, I live around the corner from one of the best bike trails in the country, really. We took the family out to Zion a couple weeks ago. We're half an hour away from a place where people from all over the world come to visit. It's really pretty incredible. Weather's fantastic. It's a little hot in the summertime sometimes, but I mean, it's 65 degrees today, and in Cedar City, it's 40 degrees. So with that being said, I think there is quite a bit of a shift in the last 10 to 15 years in what St. George is. Or in other words, it used to be a lot more of a retirement, second home community, and it still is. A lot of people come here for that reason, but I think COVID really shook the tree a little bit on what St. George is as far as the destination. And it had been gravitating that way even before then, but I mean, the cat's kind of out of the bag really in what St. George is. So I think the market is a little bit sheltered. There's a little bit of a bubble in the sense, not from a financial standpoint, but from a shelter standpoint, in the sense that people are going to want to come here no matter what, regardless of what the economy is doing. And there's, we can break that down in a few different ways, but I think overall people want to come to St. George, and that's, taking into account probably my bias too. I love St. George. But the university's growing. There's a lot of building, a lot of construction. There's a lot of development planned. Right now, there's already approved for another, 5,000 to 6,000 homes. We're adding a secondary water system. It's pretty crazy. So we can get into the weeds on some of that stuff, but if from Desert Color all the way out to the airport's all approved for building, and there's a few other areas down here that are approved, just haven't started building yet. So, in looking at some numbers, so in September of 2022, the median home price was 548,000. September of 21, in the heat of the market, it was 505,000. So again, there's a little bit of an anomaly. I mean, there could have been a home that sold in 2021 or 2022 that was $8 million that kind of skewed the average price there. But all in all, you look at numbers and average pricing is not coming down, but we're seeing a lot of homes that are sitting right now. We're seeing a lot of homes that are having price reductions. And it's hard to know, okay, 2020 and 2021 and a little bit of 22 were a little bit of an anomaly. So a home that was $1 million that's now $800,000, somebody might have paid $1 million for it a year and a half ago because they just wanted the home, right? So it's hard to compare. If you take those 2 years out, we're seeing a pretty steady increase, normal increase. But adding in 2020 and 21, it really skewed a lot of the numbers. So it's fairly steady, but I'll tell you what, buyers have a lot more choice now than they did, a year and a half ago.
So I'd have to say, is it worth it with a little higher interest rates, or to some people, a lot higher interest rate, to buy when you have selection and you're not doing, and excuse me, but like, it was just like all the stupid stuff going on with people, multi-bids, you have to buy a house with no stipulations, all these things that you're buying that you wouldn't normally do in a normal market. Now you can take a breather and probably make a decent offer on a house with concessions along the way. And You're not going to get stuck in a house that's as is. I would think right now is a better time, even though the market may have not come down as much. At least you have the luxury of picking from 3 to 4 times as many houses that are on the market now that weren't on the market before. Is that correct?
I agree with you, Bill. And I think I would add to, it depends on your financial situation too, right? I mean, if you were a first-time home buyer a year ago and your budget was $350,000 and you had to scrape together every cent you had, maybe you had $3,000 or $4,000 in a 401k that you had to withdraw, and you just scraped together every cent you had, and you're an FHA loan, there's a good chance you weren't getting into a house because someone was going to come snatch that from you that had cash. Well, guess what? Now you probably can't afford anything because interest rates are higher. If you're talking $350,000 a year ago on an FHA loan, fixed conventional, or a fixed 30-year loan, I mean, maybe your payment was going to be $1,700-1,800 a month. Well, now it's 7.25% interest. Your payment's well over $2,000, probably more like $2,300-2,400, and so now you can't even afford it. So, but someone that is buying a second home that didn't have to buy a year ago, but maybe was interested. I mean, why would they go out of their way to bid on a home when 10 other people are bidding on it? But maybe they've got half down. They're buying a home for $500,000. They're going to put $250,000 down now. Now you can pick whatever you want, and interest rate might change your payment just a little bit. But if you've got 250, maybe you just put an extra $50,000 down on a home, and you're about where you were beforehand anyway. So,
or you can tell me I'm wrong, but you could buy the rate down if you wanted, right?
You can, and there's a lot of talk now about that. There's a lot of 2-to-1 buy down. You can get on TikTok or Instagram and pick out your lender of choice, and they're going to be able to explain to you what a 2-to-1 buy down is. But because it's a little bit of a selling point right now. I'm a little bit gray on it. You can buy the rate down, but how much can you buy it down is the real question, and it may not be worth it. If payment is your ultimate 100%, if you're a first-time home buyer and you've scraped together every dollar you have, and the only way you're going to get into a home is to buy the rate down a quarter of a point, and you need 10 grand to do that, by all means, that probably makes sense. But it may not make sense for everybody. How much, really the key, Bill, is how much is that rate buy down going to cost you? And is it better to just keep the cash because cash is king, right? Or is it better to put that into the rate of the home?
That makes a lot of sense. I just remember people bidding 30, 40, 50 grand over on some houses.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had the extra 50 grand, you could buy down the rate. Yes, right? So let me ask this question. Some of my viewers are sitting in California trying to figure out how to get out of the state at the right time.
I wonder why.
They're seeing a bit of a reduction in their pricing, but at the same time, they don't want to miss it because they're older and they want to move to the state and purchase something. But they're trying to figure out timing. What would you say to the Salt Lake senior couple, the couple that live in LA or San Diego that are wanting to move to LA? What would timing, they may have their house paid off, right? Just assume that they're coming in with cash. What would be the recommendation for those particular type of people? Should they wait, even though the market could continue to go down, it goes down on their house as well? Or should they start looking at inventory now?
From my perspective, and this may not be the overall real estate agent selling point, but I would be a little bit more interested in what their overall financial situation looks like, and how real estate plays into it. I would say if they're leaving California, it's probably a little bit better of a financial decision as far as the overall financial picture goes, as compared to the same financial situation moving from, Salt Lake City, Utah to Los Angeles. But if I had a crystal ball, man, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I'd be, I would have made a lot more money already in the stock market, knowing how to time the market. But I think but I also think that there's tactical signals within the stock market, which is not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not a licensed financial guy, but I also think there's tactical signals within the real estate market that can help you somewhat time the market. For that particular situation now, I would say if their house is paid off and they're just paying cash for a home, it's a good time. It's a good time to sell, because I think inventory is going to keep going up. I've read and from my research and some of the people that I've talked to that interest rates aren't going to come down as quick maybe as some people think. And obviously that depends on a lot of different factors. But I think now, if you can capitalize on the tail end of what the seller's market looks like, I mean, I think it depends on where you price your house and what people are looking for too. I mean, I've got some real estate friends in Northern Utah that are still getting into bidding wars because they price their home accordingly. And I just did a deal in up in Cedar City that wasn't on the market too long, and we got asking price. We gave seller concessions, which is good. I think it's a win-win for both parties. I think it's normal. I think it's healthy. I think it helps people get into homes, and people have enough equity that they've built up over the last couple of years that it's an easy thing to do. So with that being said, man, if I had a crystal ball, I'd love to be able to tell you exactly what's going to happen. But I think inventory is going to keep going up nationwide. I think buyer demand is going to continue to decrease short term, and I think interest rates are probably going to stay pretty high for a while, if not even go up a little bit more. A lot of lenders will probably tell you something different, but that's just my own research and talking to people around the higher finance industry, because real estate's only a portion of what the overall economic picture looks like, although a big one.
I remember when I first got married, the interest rates were 18%. I bought a house with an interest rate of 18% in Canada. And it was a big payment. And it was only $60,000 house, brand new. But
Right, I was going to say it was probably $50,000 home, but
yeah, it was a car payment, from today's aspect. What do you see? And I agree with you. I think interest rates are here to stay for now. I think we're all used to high gas. I don't want to say it this way, but we're all going to the pump paying for gas. I don't see the traffic any less in Salt Lake. There's a million people on the road for $4 gas or $4.50. I think we get accustomed to things quite quickly. So if 5, 7, or 8% interest rates are here to stay, I just think we adjust to it. So I'd have to think the cost of building may go down to try to accommodate new buyers, or the footprint of the home has to come down, or something has to change so that these people can buy homes. Now, with my experience with St. George, I'm out in Virgin with property. They got 3 new subdivisions going in, and they're not cheap properties. They're $250,000 to $500,000 just for the land, and these people are going to build in today's market. I don't see an end to the appetite for people discovering the frontier of St. George and its surrounding area. I'm going to take a risk here and say that you guys are anomalistic to much of the inflation problems because of the type of people that are moving there. Unfortunately, that doesn't play well for low-income families. But I'm looking at Park City, I'm looking at Midway and Heber City. Those guys just keep rolling, with $300 square foot homes, $400. If you're in Park City, it's $1,000 or more a square foot. I mean, I kind of have to say to myself, who's buying this stuff? So St. George's appetite, I don't think is going to slow down with that type of wealth. I think the people that are getting hurt are your first-time buyers, people that are trying to get into a slightly larger house. If you're sitting with a 2 or 3% interest, man, you're not going to want to give that up. If you had a 20-year note, it's going to be tough to want to move, right? So I think it'll play itself out, but I think St. George may become the winner in this for the and a lot of people who write me in that area, unfortunately, are not those high-end home buyers. They're the guys that are military, who lived in the East. They want to move out West. It's Mesquite or St. George or Las Vegas, and they don't have a lot of money. They're on a retirement or Social Security. What is St. George doing for low-income housing in today's market?
Yeah, it's a real concern, and I agree with you. And it's sad to see, really, especially kids that are born and raised here and want to stay here. A lot of people leave. Number one, because they can't afford it. Number two, the wages just don't support housing prices. And the jobs here are few and far between. However, I think the city's coming around a little bit to the fact that this is more of a destination spot, that people do want to be here, that there's people that work jobs that don't pay as much that still want to be here. Not everybody is going to be making $250,000 as an engineer for a tech company. And so locally, there's a few committees. There's something called HAC, the Housing Action Coalition, and they collaborate with local governments to iron out some of the tough situations. One of the things that's going on now that actually just got approved was a mixed use building on St. George Boulevard, and adding some more of those not low income, but more affordable type, apartments and condos and things things of that nature. So I think it's coming around a little bit, but it's taken a lot of effort. So things like the Housing Action Coalition, and just people generally that want to see strategic and correct development with organic growth, because you can't stop people wanting to be here. A lot of people, you're right, have a lot of money that are moving here. You know, you're not gonna graduate college and move up to the Ledges or to Kayenta. You know, it's just not going to happen. And so, hopefully, people like myself and people on the Housing Action Coalition and people that want to see St. George in 10, 20, 30 years be a place that everybody can come enjoy. It's the right kind of development. So, I mean, I don't have all the answers. I don't think anybody really does, but St. George is slowly changing. The St. George area is slowly but surely changing, I think, to accommodate some of that organic growth, rather than just saying, oh, hey, we're not gonna allow any building. You know, we don't want to be Sedona, Arizona, where you can't go build anything, you can't go start a business. You know, we want it to be a place where someone wants to start a landscaping company, that it's easy to do that. You know, if someone wants to start a body shop, you don't go to Sedona, Arizona to start a body shop. You just don't do it. There's no business, there's no growth. So, so with that being said, the state legislature is continually saying that they want St. George to be an economic hub. You know, the congressman, I mean, the governor was just down here a couple weeks ago, and he likes what's happening down here. And I think all in all, there's a lot of good things happening.
That's good. That's good to hear. And I think for most people, they're just holding on right now. They're thinking,
Yeah.
I got a 3% mortgage, a 2%. Why would I want to move? And so I think the cash buyers are going to be out there looking. I think you got the and I'm the reason I'm saying California, because I'm originally from California, so I don't say that offensively, but there has been a trek from California to St. George. And if you're from California, and you want to learn, and I wanted to say this, I think I got 10 minutes left or 9. I think you got to deal with a guy like Jeff if you're not knowing St. George and you think, you know, the most dangerous thing is buying a house in St. George or anywhere and not knowing the neighborhoods or the areas or why something is less money than others. Jeff's born and raised around that area and knows the area quite well. I would suggest you need to find somebody like Jeff that can take the time necessary, because I don't think you're going to be flipping houses. I don't think you're going to land in St. George, buy a house emotionally, and in 3 years later want to sell that and move, you know, somewhere else because you checked it out right. You need to start out with an agent that can really move you or migrate you to areas that fit what you're really looking for. There is a lot of diversity inside of St. George for different reasons. There's a lot of new home construction going up that if you're my age, you'll never see a tree go to full maturity. It's just small trees. There's other neighborhoods where the trees are all mature and there's shade everywhere. And you just got to learn your way around. There's golf courses you can be on. There's areas out where I'm at in towards Zion Park. But you got to talk to somebody and associate with an agent that understands the area. Would I be correct in describing you that way?
Yeah, I think so. And the non-sales pitch, is from a buyer standpoint, you know, any real estate agent services are at no cost to you. So I think it definitely pays on the buyer side to utilize someone like myself that is a full-time agent that knows the market, that knows, you know, I've got good relationships with lenders and with finance guys, and the key is not getting into a situation that won't benefit you in the future. I'm not interested in just the next deal. I'm interested in building a relationship from a financial standpoint.
And
And
I think you got to do that, especially
Yeah.
now. I could have made a mistake a year ago, flipped my house, made money on the flip. Like you could talk yourself out of bad behavior a year or two ago. If you didn't like it, sell it. It's probably worth 50 grand more than you bought it for. Now you can't. You really got to make sure that you're working with the right people. And I have to think if you're in St. George and you're thinking of listing, you also do listings too. Am I correct?
Yeah, definitely.
I think you better talk to Jeff and just make sure that your timing's right, that you've got an exit plan, and you're getting the right money. If I could point out my window, there's a house that was listed at 1.2 million because the agent said, let's just go for all of it. It's now at 800,000.
Yep.
So there's $400,000 off the table. That person now is chasing the market instead of the market chasing them. And I think Jeff brings up some really good points. Our time's about out for this session. I think it's exciting that you'll talk to us and talk to the people that are looking at St. George, Mesquite, Virgin area, all of the Laverkin, that area, and at least you could talk to a guy who can tell you why it's a good place or why you may not want it. You may want to be up in Entrada. It's beautiful up there, but you got rules. You've got HOAs and you got a house that's only so high. But you talk to Jeff and he'll give you a reason why those are good or bad places.
Yeah. And I think my last thought too is I'm not afraid to tell you that, hey, maybe it's not the right time for you to buy. Maybe you should wait. Maybe you should wait to sell. I'm not afraid to give you the full picture analysis of what's going on. There's a lot of variables that go into that too, but I think the key is just making sure that my clients know that I'm not going to be able to sleep at night if I'm not doing what's best for them.
Good for you. And I'm not building right now at the moment because I can't get the prices I want for lumber, and I can wait it out. I got a few more years to do it right. And so it's good to have people around you with good advice. Jeff, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah. The best way is to text me, call me. I've got my phone in my pocket 24/7. Bill you can post the number and the link to my email address below, but got my phone in my pocket 24/7. So
for people watching and driving, what is that number?
Sure. My cell phone number that you can call me, text me at is going to be 435-922-0012.
I think
text me.
If you're
text me at 2 a.m. and I'll text you back.
There you go. Don't you never know. People in California might be up thinking about it.
Right.
And I'm not saying California, Nevada, I don't care where you're from, Idaho. A lot of you have sold your homes and got some good money and you're trying to find somewhere warm to live that isn't out of control. St. George is certainly a good location to consider. And Jeff can give you ideas around the surrounding areas. It's not just St. George, but there's a metropolitan area and really kind of some beautiful little towns around there. Well, Jeff, thank you. I appreciate your time. I'm hoping that things will go well for you at St. George. I'm always happy to talk to you and good luck with everything you're up to.
Thanks, Bill. I've got a couple updates. Next time we talk, I'll let you in on a couple of things that we're working on from a higher finance standpoint combined with real estate. We'll chat sometime soon.
Perfect. Thanks again.
Thanks, Bill.